Now to the scourge of anti-Semitism that unfortunately continues to consume our most elite college campuses. At Harvard, the oldest university in the country, the turmoil continues despite the resignation of its president. A new anti-Semitism task force at Harvard is already mired in controversy after its co-chair was found to have signed a letter that called Israel, quote, a regime of apartheid, end quote. This comes as House Republicans are formally investigating Harvard for anti-Semitism and threatening retaliatory action if Harvard doesn't stop obstructing the probe. And Harvard is hardly the only elite university where radical students and professors who deeply hate Israel seem to be running the place. We're joined now by Representative Burgess Owens, Republican of Utah. Congressman Owens, always a pleasure when you come on Centerpoint. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you, my friend. Absolutely.
You sit on the House Committee on Education and the Workforce, which is investigating Harvard currently. Committee Chair Virginia Foxx recently slammed Harvard for, quote, unacceptable non-cooperation and threatened it with compulsory measures if it doesn't comply. Why can't Harvard get this under control?
Well, unfortunately, it is now in their DNA. What this points out, Joe, is that we've been under attack, our culture, for quite a while. And we go back to the 1940s when we had these issues going on by that time, but we just didn't know it. We're having a conversation today that back 2 or 3 years, 4 years ago, we never thought it was even happening. So the upside is this. We first of all have a Congress, a Republican Party that has as a priority education, China, and the budget. And we have the American people finally saying, you know what, there's something going on wrong. And I'm not going to sit back now and allow this to happen to my children without fighting back. So we have I think, a really good opportunity at this point because we are aware of so much and we know where the issues are. And it's these colleges that for so long have been going DEI, affirmative action, not looking at meritocracy, looking at our race and our color and our culture based on oppressor and victim. That cannot stand. If we teach our kids to do that, we're going to teach our kids to go back to the days of segregation and hatred that I came out of in the 60s. We're not going to go back in that direction ever again.
What do you think, Congressman, has gone wrong in recent years on these campuses that's allowed anti-Semitism to flourish? Is it a combination of things, and does it start with the leaders?
It starts with leaders, but the leaders have been trained by other people in the past. This has been an intergenerational problem. It's not, we're just seeing it today, but literally John Dewey, a Marxist, communist, the father of public education. His idea was to teach the teachers how to teach their philosophy and their ideology. So what we've been doing in the past, we send out kids, they're excited, they're looking for their future, they're very vulnerable. They send them to these colleges where they have these teachers that spend 4 years of their lives training them to indoctrinate them to hate our nation. I'm trying to think who was it, the Marxism, Karl Marx, who said very simply, the first battleground is rewriting of history. Well, they want to steal our history very simply because if you do that, they take away our pride in our past, our appreciation for where we are and who we are today, and our any vision for the future. And they've been doing that for a long, long time. So we're seeing the result of literally decades of this. And we have to make sure that the children, the kids we send to these colleges in the future are coming out with an American first, proud of who we are, as opposed to what the Marxists have been doing over the last few decades.
Yes, eyes have definitely been wide open going to universities these days. These universities, Congressman, have been ruthlessly enforcing policies of what's called diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, like you mentioned. A leading Jewish publication recently wrote that the DEI means less Jews. If DEI is genuinely discriminatory and anti-Semitic, how are all of these colleges and universities and major corporations getting away with the following DEI as a central policy? Do you believe that their greatest example is the Biden administration? Because they have proven that they're all about DEI.
Exactly. And what we had to do is finally define what DEI is. The problem with our nation is that we go about our way kind of taking for granted things are going to work out. It takes something like October 7th, finally realize what's going on here and seeing how our kids responded. DEI, very simply, is a very racist, Marxist-driven ideology. It's the oppressors and the victims. And believe it or not, whites are always oppressors, and at the very top of this oppressor spectrum are Jewish people. So there's nothing that whites and Jews can do to ever break the cycle of being inclusive and embracive because they've been trained. We've been trained to think of them, or they have been, in a different way. This is all changing. So now DEI is becoming a bad word, which it should be. The latest thing just happened at Harvard, by the way, their DEI diversity person has now been found of also plagiarizing. This is what happens when you start looking at people from outside in and not looking at merit. You have folks who do not come up to the standards that we expect of them, but if they have the right color, the right gender, they're given these positions. So the latest, after Dr. Gale left, is now we have a DEI diversity expert who's now being found of 40 more times of plagiarism. So we should expect the most from our educational system. It should be about meritocracy, value, and if you can't compete in those areas intellectually, I don't care what your color is, then do something else. Don't be in a position where we're helping, that you're actually supporting and teaching our kids how to be successful if you don't know how to do it the good old American way.
And Congressman, under 30 seconds, some of the biggest donors in these elite universities are pulling their donations over anti-Semitism, millions of dollars, hundreds of it. If enough top donors walk away, is that what will make them get the message?
I want to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you guys, for all you who are now waking up to this. I've always believed this. It's been the races in the past that have had difficulty in assimilating Blacks, Hispanics, the Jewish Americans, that we're going to wake up and pull our communities back, and we pull our communities back to old solid values of America, family, free market. We're going to pull our country back. And I'm thankful for those folks, those very wealthy donors. They're finally waking up to realize these people are not your friends. These are not going to help our kids, your kids, our country come together. So let's make sure we take away their power, take away their profit, and they'll come around and begin to compete like they should be for our dollars and our kids.
All right, great stuff. Congressman Burgess Owens from the great state of Utah, thank you so much for joining us here on Centerpoint.
Thank you, Joe. Take care, buddy.